And first to start, I'm gonna be offering a little music movement with an ocarina instrument from Mexico, and Chico is gonna be joining with some poems. Thank you very much for being here tonight.
Aztlán. Aztlán está en mi pecho, Aztlán está en mi corazón. Aztlán es la tierra sagrada de mi gente. Yo soy de esa tierra y me la llevo a donde quiera que yo voy. Aztlán. ¿Qué tiempos fueron aquellos del glorioso Tenochtitlán? Con veracidad te digo que en mi corazón están. Gracias le dio a Tonantzin por darle a mi pueblo pan. Tlaloc y el gran Quetzalcóatl, olvidados, olvidados jamás serán. Ometeo, único Dios, Él es Dios de la dualidad. Día y noche, agua y fuego Él es, mujer y hombre en la humanidad. Nuestros tlatoanes han muerto, todos descansan en mi clan. Cuauhtémoc fue el último, pero otros más surgirán. Soy un guerrero mexica, soy un guerrero nazlán. No peleo con macahuitles porque la educación me dan. Soy un guerrero mexica, soy un guerrero nazlán. La sabiduría es mi escudo, los libros mis armas serán. Aztlán.
Thank you very much. This program tonight is part of the Chicana, Chicano, Chicanas Mexican project that brings together artists from the United States and Mexico in a virtual exhibition. And the virtual exhibition is accompanied by artist talks and a panel discussion that we had last week with Xico González also as one of the panelists. And tonight, Xico González is going to be doing his artist talk. And Xico González is an award-winning educator, interdisciplinary artist, poet, and political and cultural activista organizer based in Sacramento, California. He receives his Master of Arts in Spanish from Sacramento State and a Master of Fine Arts in Art Studio from University of California, Davis. González has exhibited widely since the late 90s, as well known for his political charges silkscreen, posters, and his revoltoso poetry. His work is archived at Sacramento State, San José State, the Center of the Study for Political Graphics, and the Smithsonian American Art Museum, amongst other public and private collections. While González has exhibited nationally, he has also taken part in exhibitions in Argentina and China. González's written work has been published in several publications, such as the poetry anthology The Border Crossed Us from Vagabond Press. González currently teaches Spanish and art studio at the Met Sacramento High School, where he continues to promote social and cultural awareness in and out of the classroom. Also, Xico González has been one of the main artists that has worked with Soul Collective, and we are happy to have him tonight. Welcome, Xico. I pass the mic to you.
Muchas gracias, Luis. Primero que nada, muchas gracias a todos y todas por venir esta noche a mi plática de arte. Gracias a Soul Collective, gracias a Luis por la invitación de exhibir virtualmente y también por la invitación a dar mi plática de artista. My name is Xico González, and today what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some of my work over the last decade, and also I'm going to be reading some poetry because I'm a poet. And I title the talk today Hermosa Rebeldía. And Hermosa Rebeldía is the title of an exhibit that I have at the Mexican Heritage Center in Stockton. And today I actually went over there and set it up. And then I drove back really fast to be here with you all tonight. It's always nice to be like busy, but it can be a little tiring. So I don't know if you noticed my eyes are a little red, and that's because I'm like adrenaline rush and a little desvelado. But I wanted to be here tonight to share some work and some words. So Hermosa Rebeldía, selected works by Xico González. This is my artist statement, and it reads as follows. I create art to empower and to provide a voice for my community. In addition, art is how I express my inner thoughts, the ideologies that I have embraced, the solidarity that I have with communities around the world, and most of all, through the arts, I express who I am as a person, an individual that believes and works for justice and equality. So I wrote this artist statement back in 2007 while I was a grad student at UC Davis, earning my Master's of Fine Arts. And it was true then and it's true now. And I think that ever since like 1997, I'm on this road, on the brown road, the Chicanismo road. And I haven't strayed from it. I haven't sold out, and I'm unsellable. Saludos a la compa Ruti y a la compa Josie, the Brown Berets and Norcal Resist, whom I work with often. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of my work. And this is all digital work that I have created, that I have mass produced and passed to the masses for free with the help of people like Ruth and Josie and other community members. We have been able to put conscious artwork in the hands of people while we demand justice and equity for our people and other underrepresented communities. So the first images that I'm going to show you are from a rally that happened on May 1st, 2014 in Sacramento at the state capitol. And the pieces are called OG Soñadores or Soñadores Originales. And these are the two pieces. I am the original dreamer, Amnesty for All the Undocumented. And with these two pieces, I wanted to honor like hardworking people that are working hard to put roofs over their families' heads, food on their tables, and chingándole, macheteándole, como decimos. And I wanted to focus on drawing like men and women that work in the service industry. So these are cooks. If you go to any restaurant, it doesn't matter how fancy it is. In the back, you hear like a lot of Spanish, and a lot of the cooks are Mexican. So next time, make sure to thank them. So this is the piece, and oftentimes it's gonna sound a little weird, but I inspire myself in the sense that sometimes I create pieces and then I write poetry inspired by the pieces that I create, or vice versa. So I wrote this poem back probably like around that time, and I called it The Original Dreamers. This is when DACA first came into the scene, and everybody was focused on the kids, on the kids that went to school, but nobody was talking about their older siblings or their parents. So I wrote this poem, and this is not against anybody that qualified for DACA. This is against the government, that it was very selective on who had a path to legalization, which is still in the works. So this one is called OG Soñadores. In the immigrants' rights movement, oftentimes we hear of the dreamers with the graduation gowns, fists in the air, and beautiful butterflies, marchas, rallies, and sit-ins that lead to deportations, sacrificios de sueños soñados. In senators' offices, self-sacrificing dreamers get arrested and deported to prove a point: the U.S. immigration system is broken. For the dreamers, la escuela o los guachos, those caminos that end in papeles and green cards. Let me ask you a question. What about the original dreamers? Who speaks for them nowadays? They have sueños too. How have we forgotten about the padres, madres, hermanas, y hermanos that came to the U.S. too old to go to school or join the armed forces? They have sueños too. Pero le tuvieron que chingar in low-paying jobs como los files, la construcción, los hoteles, rich people's homes and restaurants. You know, the ones bumping cumbias, norteñas, banda, rancheras in the kitchen, the ones that yelled, apúrate, güey, ya está listo, güey, no mames, güey. They have sueños too. They dream that their children will have a better life in this country instead of discrimination and exploitation. They have sueños too. Migra race are workplaces that lead to deportation, sacrificios de sueños soñados. For the original dreamers, el trabajo y la explotación. Dos caminos que los llevan al miedo y a las sombras. They have sueños too. Jesús, el joven que trabaja en la construcción en la bahía, has dreams too. María, la señora que cuida güeritos en Hollywood Hills, has dreams too. José, el señor que trabaja en los files del Valle de San Joaquín, has dreams too. So let us help the original dreamers dream their dreams of a better future without the fear of being deported, exploited, and used. Next time you hear of the dreamers, think of their parents and siblings because they share the same dream. They have sueños too. Con zafos. So I wanted to talk about, you know, how the system is broken and we only are focusing on one side of the population. We have 11 million people that are undocumented in this country. And, you know, we need to fight for them. So they have a path. So shout out to NorCal Resist for providing a lot of services for undocumented folks in Sacramento during the pandemic. Also, like some other pieces that I've created for the movement, Mini Wishoni, El Agua Sagrada. I made a bunch of prints from November 2016 to January 2017 here in Sacramento. And I also sent a lot of work to Standing Rock, North Dakota. And this is the image that I printed for that struggle. This is Sitting Bull, and I put El Agua Sagrada, meaning Wishone no Dapo. We were fighting to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline, and we actually succeeded, but a lot of people got arrested, the water protectors and stuff like that. So for this one, I printed a bunch of posters, 11 by 17, digital, multiple editions in 2014. I made a color edition of 100 stickers, black and white versions of it. I printed like thousands. And banners, I printed 2 banners, one for here, for Sacramento, for the No Dapo movement, and one that was sent to North Carolina. And I printed a bunch of, one of the things that I noticed is that it was raining and snowing in North Dakota. So a lot of the posters were disintegrating. So I decided to print on cloth and use the images as patches for people to put them on their backpacks or put them on their jackets. And here is, on the left is my students. I was teaching them about like being conscious and, you know, utilize social media to send a message. So this is my whole advisory. They all graduated 2 years ago. Most of them went to college. And some of them, they're working. And on the top right, there's the patch that we printed on canvas, or like the canvas stella, and just one solid color blue. And then I think we made some sweatshirts also to fundraise money. Homegirl Ruth was wearing it a few days ago. And then one of the banners that I sent to Standing Rock, it got put up on the tent, and you know, you can see the snow there. But just one of the things that I like to do is I like to enhance our concerns visually, because, you know, you can talk to somebody and they can like turn away and not really listen. But once they're confronted with an image, you know, it has to come in and hopefully make an impact and a difference. Here's my student, Viola LeBeau. She's Pit River. And she went on a little pilgrimage to the Grand Canyon, and she took the print. I'm going to be talking a little bit about her in a few slides, but she took it over there and like she was representing with the poster over there. And this is how it was utilized in the front lines of the struggle in Standing Rock. Somebody decided to paste 3 posters on a big cardboard. And they were like closing the highways and stuff like that. You can see the cop car like in the back on the right-hand side in the middle. So they were being brutalized, some of the water protectors over there. So I'm just happy that I was able to provide visuals to that movement. And, you know, that's a commitment that I have, not only with the Chicano community, but with all communities fighting for a better future. And one of the poems that I wanted to read in this section is a poem that I wrote a long time ago. It's called Raíces Rebeldes. And it goes like this. Hijos del sol, la luna y las estrellas, Tonatiuh, Mesli, Citlali, la raza cósmica, the cosmic race. Raíces rebeldes rooted in ancient Anáhuac, rooted in ancient Aztlán, rooted in Iztachitlán. Lugar entre aguas, no benditas ni malditas, sino sagradas. Sacred like the trees, the animals y los peces. Todo es relativo en este mundo como Tonatiuh, el quinto sol, the fifth sun by raza elders. Hombres y mujeres sabias, mayas, huicholes, aztecas, yaquis, coras, olmecas, taramaras, toltecas y todos los miembros de las 7 tribus chichimecas. Guerreros, jaguares y águilas armados para preservar nuestras raíces, fighting, peleando, always fighting to preserve our roots. Ociolot, Yolot, Huatli, Yolot, Mexica, Yolot, Corazón Mexica. Warriors of the past, give me strength to keep on fighting through time and space. Ni Mexica, Yaod. Soy un guerrero Mexica. I am a Mexica warrior. Soy sangre de tu sangre y nuestra sangre es guerrera. Esli, Yaod. Blood of warriors run through my veins. His words should not be in vain. Despierta, raza, wake up and claim what is yours. Tu pasado, your past. Sin tus raíces no eres nada. Despierta, raza, wake up. Despierta, raza, wake up. Back in the day, I used to have a band, a spoken word and music band. We were called Califas, and then we were called Revoltosos. And we used to perform all around California with the band and me reciting. Those were the good old days of Chicano Renaissance of the late 90s, early 2000s. So I've been around for a bit now. In January of 2016 and 2017, here in Sacramento and also in Santa Rosa, women's marches were organized. And one of the things that were happening at the very beginning is that women of color were being left out in the leadership roles and in their movement in general. And I heard like different people talk about how like gabachas were running the show, but they really didn't have any connection to the movement, and they were like dismissive and everything. So I decided to create some work to counter that and also to enhance the struggles of women of color and people of color in general. So I created 4 posters, and at the very beginning I made it in black and white because black and white is really easy and really inexpensive to mass produce. So it's like really cheap to do. And you know, when we're broke, we're utilizing everything that we can to make it happen. One of the things that I learned early on is that everybody wants to support, but not everybody has the time or the talent to do so. So I learned this from one of my mentors, Ricardo Favela, may he rest in peace. He was a professor at Sac State. He told me one time that, you know, like Chico, like there's gente that are down to throw down some dinero, hit him up, you know, they're waiting. And I did early on in my artistic career, dating back to maybe the early 2000s, like hitting up people to produce artwork to be disseminated. And one of the things that I always like to do is I always like to give credit to the people that support me and the movement. So on Facebook or on Instagram, I always post like, you know, so-and-so, like shout out to so-and-so. They really they came through, they did some feria, you know, if you want to donate, let's create this. So I made 300 prints of this specific image, Viva la Mujer, Unidas Somos Chingonas. And the image, I drew it back in 2006 when we were fighting a bill called HR 4437, and I made it into a silkscreen. And the reason for that is because I was printing like a lot of mails for the rallies. And one of the señoras from Southside told me, like, mijo, ¿cuándo vas a poner una mujer en tus cartelones? Y me quedé pensando, right? And I go like, a la próxima marcha va a estar una señora. And then like she looked for me on the following marcha, which was May 1st, 2006. We have about 40,000 people marching from Southside Park into the state capitol. It was beautiful that day. That's one of the biggest marches that Sacramento has seen. But around the US, millions of people came out against HR 4437. LA had about 1 million people. Chicago had about 1 million people, everywhere. So here in Sacramento, 40,000 people came out. And I wanted to show Frida in a different light usually she has the moños and all the flowers and all that. And I was like, I need to make it like hella revolutionary because she was a revolutionary woman. So I merged the image of Che Guevara and Frida Kahlo, and I created Che Frida. And I made like a lot of posters, t-shirts, and everything. To date, I think that's one of my most iconic images. Yeah. And then I created this piece. There was a lot of xenophobia going on against the Muslim community. So I created this little Palestinian girl throwing a peace sign, and salam means peace. And then I put, we're a peaceful people. And I really connect to the Palestinian struggle for land and rights and liberty. So I've been supporting the Palestinian struggle since the 90s. When I was in college, I used to organize with the Muslim Student Association and also with Students for Justice in Palestine. I created a lot of work and organized with them, especially after 9/11, 2001. We had a lot of rallies on campus and off campus. So I made this poster, and one of the cool things that happened is that this poster was recently collected by the Smithsonian American Art Museum, and it was shown in an exhibition titled Printing the Revolution, the Rise and Impact of Chicano Graphics, 1965 to the present. And they collected the color version of it. But I have a poem that I want to share based on my interactions and my involvement with the Palestinian struggle. I wrote a poem called Palestine, and I personify Palestine, the country, to a Palestinian woman. And here it is. Your face, Palestine, your face is your people's history. It has suffered, it has cried, but remains beautiful. Your hands is your people's destiny. They're strong and energetic. Your feet are your people's revolutionary movement. They're tireless and always moving forward. Your heart is your people's ideology, and it disseminates it throughout your being. Your soul is your people's rebel spirit. It loves, feels, cries, sings, fights, and screams for the freedom of your existence, Palestine. And I also made this poster based on the previous image, the OG Dreamers. And I titled it Dream, Dignity, and Respect for All. And also I made 300 copies and I passed them to the masses. And I want to point out that all these posters were sponsored by a crew that I call Mujeres Chingonas de Zacateclan. And for some reason, I've known this for a long time. Women are the heart of the movement, and they're always down to throw down, to put time and effort, and even money to move the movimiento forward. And I'm very privileged to count with a core group of Chicanas for support when I'm doing my activism work in the community and putting artwork, conscious artwork in the hands of the masses. I also created this piece, Stand for Justice and Equality for All, featuring Sister Angela Davis. And I wanted to, like I mentioned before, I wanted to showcase the struggles being faced by different women of color and communities of color. So African Americans, Raza, Middle Easterns, and more Raza. And this is how the prints were used. This is Mariana Rivera and her family. Mariana Rivera has been a big source of inspiration and motivation in my journey, my artistic journey, especially more so when I was first coming into the movement. So I didn't talk a lot about like where I'm from and any of that, but I was born in LA, but I grew up in Mexico, and then I ended up in Pennsylvania in the early 90s. I didn't speak any English. I went to school there, high school. I was the only Mexican in my high school. Then I went to Penn State, and then I transferred from Penn State to Sacramento State back in 1997. And Mariana was like the mother figure for me and for a lot of us. She used to be a counselor in the MEP program. She used to provide services for students trying to be engineers. And Mariana was and is a hardcore zapatista. So I learned a lot from her and her husband, Victor. So Mariana, if you see this later on, shout out to you. Muchas gracias por todo. And then just women holding the posters in the rallies. And again, right, I create this, I like to create this, like, this partnership with me as the artist, and then like an accomplice relationship between me as the maker and people as the viewer and holder of the artwork. This is a group of little girls from the Language Academy of Sacramento. I think their club was called Colibri, and they came out to the rally. Like one of the advisors there brought them to the rally, and one of their mentors, Judy, she supported the printing, so I gave her like a stack for her students. And it was really cool being out there with a lot of people supporting. Even though our people were not really involved with the planning, we showed up and we did our thing. We were like, we got the bullhorns going and everything. People were looking at us weird. That was like the first time for some of them privileged people to be like taken to the streets. Not that it's bad or anything like that, but the way they made our women feel, I hold that against them, the organizers. So then we continue organizing for the Women's March. This happened in January 17th, 2019. And I sent posters to Los Angeles, Oakland, Sacramento, Santa Rosa, and Stockton. And I got some donations from some of these places, some fellow activists from these cities. And we printed a lot. But this time around, I printed the same images, but now in color. And now we had a women of color contingent that we like met at the Met. We had a rally and everything, and then we like took our contingent to the streets. So I made 2,500 posters of this image, 11 by 17, and it was actually back then there was this app called our HP Reveal. So if you trigger the images, somebody came and like talked about the poster, read a poem. For this one, I think it was Alma Elizabeth from Brown Issues. She read a really good poem. And so when you trigger the image, Alma appeared, and in the back was like the image itself. And then Stan for Justice and Equality. This one was also mass printed. And we printed about 1,000 of them with the help of the Sacramento Women Take Back the Night. So we hit them up and they sponsored the printing, and we printed 1,000 posters. And for this one, I made stickers. We made like 1,500 stickers, and then we made a banner, and then we passed them in the community at the rally. And then Salam again in full color. This is the piece that the Smithsonian collected, and also they collected this one, Stan. So hopefully the Salam, it opened at the Smithsonian last summer, and it's to travel around the US. So hopefully we get to see it here in Sacramento in the near future, maybe at the Crocker, or maybe Soul Collective in our new remodel space. But it'd be nice to see, if not the whole exhibit, a portion of it, because there's a lot of people representing Sacramento. I'm really honored to be there with my mentors, Ricardo Favela and Malaquias Montoya. So it's a really good show, and they produce a catalog that is also like really nice, and you can probably get that online. This is the first time that they went and bought work from artists instead of like borrowing it from collectors and stuff like that. So it was nice to see them going out there and collecting the artwork of our people, especially conscious people. And this is how the posters were used in the banners. And Ruth and Yossi are probably going to see themselves. Ruth has a megaphone on the upper right, but it's always nice. Danzantes always lead our way, and then we follow. And this is from all those different cities where the posters were used: Santa Rosa, Modesto, Los Angeles, the Bay, and of course here in Sacramento. We always represent really hard. And my Mecha kids, Mecha at the Met is I have like 12 students. There's only one boy, 11 girls representing, 11 Chicanitas. So like I said, even Marcos from the Zapatistas said it, The women are the heart of the movement, and without them, there would be nothing, which is true. And again, this is, I created this piece, Sacred, No More Stolen Sisters, and this was to create awareness about the missing and murdered Indigenous women. And this is actually my student, Viola Lebeau. She's Spit River. And I photographed her, and then I created a poster, and then we made about 2,000 copies and sent them to some rallies around Sacramento and Santa Rosa, and I believe we also sent some to Stockton. But it comes from a photograph, and then I created an art piece. And again, right, being in solidarity with other communities around the world that are also going through the same issues that we are facing under the same oppressor. And here it is. We brought the banners that we had from before, but now we came with the posters, Sacred. And if you see a lot of the women are wearing a red shirt with the Chefrida image on them. So I silkscreen the images, and then our team got to wear them. And you can see Ruth right there in the middle, giving a passionate speech. She says that she doesn't like to speak, but she did a really good job. So no te agüites, tú dale. And in 2010, last summer, I created some work dealing with the Black Lives Matter uprising right after the murder of George Floyd. There has been so many murders, right? But George Floyd, I think that was like one of the biggest things that we saw, that you cannot deny that he was murdered, like in cold blood, I guess you can say, without remorse. So I created this piece, Fuck the Police, Black Lives Matter, and I have a pig. So my work sometimes can be like really like blunt, and you cannot read it two ways. It's just one straight way. So I made 500 posters of this and passed them here in Sacramento at 2 rallies. We had a black and brown shut it down, and then a few days after, a march was kind of like co-opted by Sacramento Kings and stuff like that. So a lot of people went to that, and I sent some posters to that too. And then I made this different version, Migra y Policía, la misma porquería. And that's one of the slogans that we use in the immigrants' rights movement, to talk about ICE and also the police. And I always make this statement that the pigs sometimes act like wild boars, como jabalís. So I wanted to include that pig in there. And then this is how the posters were used in the community. Sometimes I photograph like people carrying my posters, but recently I like to go and enjoy the march. I pass the posters, and then I walk with my students and kind of guide them, feed them chants, give them the bullhorn, and they do their thing. In the middle, you have Margarita Berta Avila. She's a professor at Sac State. And then you have Ruth on the lower left. And I think my favorite picture is on the lower right, La Enmascarada, wearing the Mexico soccer shirt. I don't know. I just like that. I think it's a powerful image, and I wanna print that as a photograph and exhibit that photograph somewhere. But yeah, I think that máscara is Rey Misterio. And then we did another rally. Actually, let me read a poem before I go forward. This is a poem that I wrote a long time ago. Modesto, the Modesto PD murder a young Chicanito. It was probably like 2001. They raided a home, and they had the little boy handcuffed to the ground, and somehow the gun went off and the little boy died. And so I wrote this poem. It's called Matemática Puerca. SAC PD igual a abusos de autoridad por discriminación y racismo entre puercos con olor a chorizo. División entre raza, multiplicación de desmadres, puercos madreando y matando a gente de color. Y no solo hablo del SACPD, I'm talking about the pinche NYPD, LAPD, SJPD, MPD y todos los PDs que causan pedos. Pedos más excusas igual a accidentes. Pensamos que traía una pistola, la pistola se disparó sola. Él se estrelló contra mis puños y mis botas. No era un choco, era un abrazo. Fue un suicidio por la espalda. Mamadas y mentiras para llevar. To protect and to serve, that's hermano que no. Proteger y servir, chales. Proteger los intereses del rico y servirte unos tacos de chingazos para aquí o para llevar. Taquerías policíacas donde el cliente lo tratan bien y si no lo creen, pregúntenle a Rodney King. He's an LAPD satisfied customer. Y la lista sigue y sigue porque hay un resto de PDs que causan pedos. Y no se diga nada de los clientes que están speechless por el buen trato que recibieron. ¿Saben? No creo que sea casualidad que las taquerías policíacas nomás existan en el barrio o en el ghetto. Y aunque quieras o no, ahí te dan unos ricos tacos policíacos y si lloras es porque el chile está muy picoso. So we see a lot of police brutality, murder of people of color in the hands of the police. I myself sometimes, you know, like when I see a cop, I always get nervous and I'm like legit, right? I have my insurance and my everything in order, but it's something about that. Like one time I was coming from UC Davis. I was teaching Chicano studies there before I became a high school teacher. And I was coming, I had like this big truck, like Jornalero style. And in the back, I had a UFW sticker, which I have on my Subaru right now. And I was coming and all of a sudden, like 2 blocks away, no, actually a block away, 2 blocks away from my house, I didn't hear the sirens. I saw the lights, you know, I was tripping out and I turned into my block and they stopped me like 3 houses away from my house and ran away, right? Like one cop comes on this side and the other one comes on this side. And the first thing they asked me is, are you on probation or parole? And I said, neither. And then they started asking me questions and I told them I'm coming from work. I'm a professor at UC Davis, and right away everything switched. It changed. And now all of a sudden, you know, they're like backtracking and they're asking me, oh, so I noticed that you have a huelga sticker or a norteño, a huelga sticker. I go, yeah, my parents were campesinos. I support the UFW. Do you have an issue with it? And he said, no. Goes, so you do talks? I said, yeah, I do talks. And he goes, oh, maybe one day you can come and talk to some of the youth here. But before that, I would be in profile, and you know, if I would have acted different, maybe they will take me in or something like that. And before the cop left, I said, like, why did you stop me? And he said, oh, because your plate light is off, it's not working or something like that. I go, oh, I didn't even notice. They'll just change it. And I say, okay. But imagine, you know, like this happening to like other people and not being able to, like, you know, to deflect or do something. That's why I like the break clinics, Ruth, because that's how they almost got me. But that's how they have gotten a lot of people in the past. So, trucha. All right, so then in 2020, I created this piece, Junipero Sierra Asesino. And this is around the time that we were trying to bring down a lot of these racist statues in California, throughout the US, and eventually throughout the world. So this happened on July 4th, 2020, here at the Capitol in Sacramento. And this is the piece that I made for it. That's Junipero Serra, who quote unquote settle California. How can you settle something where people have been living there for like centuries, for millennia, right? So me, along with other homies, came out with this little wording that reads: with Serra's arrival to President California in 1769, the native population was ravaged by European diseases, including syphilis, spread by marauding Spanish soldiers. Natives brought into the missions were not allowed to leave, and if they tried, they were shackled and severely beaten. Natives were used as forced labor to build out the mission farming projects, When the natives rebelled, their rebellions were put down in brutal fashion. When Native women were caught trying to abort babies conceived through rape, the mission fathers had them beaten for days on end, clamped them in irons, had their heads shaved, and forced them to stand at the church altar every Sunday carrying a painted wooden child in their arms. So this is from like historical writings, and we know that a lot of this happened, right? So how come if we know, if some of us know the true history, how come we're like letting it slide? So we our community brought down the Junipero Serra statue at the state capitol. I printed 250 posters for it. And this is some footage from the mounting of Junipero Serra. And this was captured by the Black Zebra filming crew. And I just took stills of how they brought it down. And this happened all around like the war, like I said, the decapitated statues of Cortés, Pizarro, and everything. So, you know, let's set the record straight. And we have an unfinished business too, dealing with this issue. Then in 2020, I also printed some posters for a rally titled No More Kids in Cages. This happened on September 19, 2020 at Cesar Chavez Plaza. And then we marched around downtown. And this is the poster that I made. I made 250 prints and I passed them there. This is actually my daughter, Lunita, being a chingoncita, a poderosa. And in the back, I put different like slogans: abolish ICE, not one more, uplifting Black lives, no more kids in cages, keep families together, and close detention centers. Some of the struggles that we're like dealing and facing right now when it comes to immigration. And this is how the posters were used in that community by community members. And there in the middle is a picture of me with one of the posters. I think the photo was taken by Irene de Barracua. When I document, I never document myself, so it was nice to have Irene document me in the rally. And then I created this piece for a rally titled "Stop Bombing Gaza, Save Chicana." And this happened on May 21st, 2021, at the corner of 16 and J. This is the poster that I created. And this is Yasser Arafat, the PLO leader and one-time prime minister of the Palestinian territories. And this is something that he said that I really like. This is my homeland. No one can kick me out. Very defiant, very, very militant, very, very tight. And he passed away in 2004. And I remember making a big poster in his honor. I believe he died on my birthday, November 11, 2004. And this is how it was used. And I really like the way the Palestinian community and the Arab community were like really well organized. And they brought a lot of people out there. And I really like that image of the Palestinian men draped in the Palestinian flag, like super Palestino. And I'm having a show right now featuring all this work and more. The Mexican Heritage Center in Stockton. Today, I actually went and mounted the show. And the place is big. I took 20 pieces and I've been working that nonstop on that over the last maybe a few weeks. And like everything, right? Chicano time, we're always doing things late. So I was up really late framing and, you know, getting stuff done. But I went and mounted it today. It took me 4 hours to mount the show. It looks really nice, if I may say so. So if you want to go check it out, or if you live near the area, or you have some homies, the show is going to be up all the month of March. And the place is open from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. They have a coffee shop, and that's how they're bringing revenue to keep the center open. But the reception of the show is going to be on March 19 at 6 p.m. And the show is sponsored by NorCal Resist, by Raíces Collective of Santa Rosa, by Nopal of Stockton, and by the Soul Collective family here in Sacramento. And the show is set to travel from Stockton to Sacramento, then to Santa Rosa. And we're hoping to have the show here sometime between May and September. and then Santa Rosa sometime in November. But yeah, support the show. Check it out. I was gonna read this last poem somewhere. I marked it. So I'm actually gonna end with another poem that I wrote a long time ago, and that poem is called Chicanismo. And Chicanismo is a poem that I wrote probably around 1999 or 2000. And I adhere to that philosophy of being a Chicano and doing Chicano work, but also branching out to supporting other communities in the struggle. So one time that happens sometimes is that we get stagnant and we just want to be like, Chicano, 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 and not really like look beyond that. But we really need to take care of ourselves and also at the same time support other people that are struggling and have the same oppressor as us. So I'm going to end with this poem, Chicanismo, and then I open it to question if you have any. Luis, tócate la flauta, bro.
Okay.
Chicanismo. Chicanismo is a political state of mind, not a nationality. Chicanismo es fuerza, es strength to fight oppression, racismo, and discrimination. Chicanismo es respeto, respect for your elders and your ancient tradiciones. Chicanismo es sabiduría, knowledge about self and culture, la cultura pura. Chicanismo es lucha, struggle for rights, educación, and a better futuro. Chicanismo es poder, power to unite, la unión hace la fuerza. Chicanismo es amor, love for la raza de bronce. How can you love others? How can you love and embrace others when you don't love yourself? Chicanismo es acción, action to mobilize your people against injustices. Chicanismo es liberación, liberation of the mind, body, and soul. Nadie te dará las cosas gratis. You have to earn them. And if you make it to the top, don't forget about the barrios, the campos, la comunidad, and the next generations. Remember, nadie servirá mejor a tu gente que tú mismo. Nobody will take care of your people better than you. Edúcate, lucha y ayuda a tu gente. Chicanismo es a political state of mind, not a nationality. Chicanismo es fuerza. Chicanismo es respeto. Chicanismo es sabiduría. Chicanismo es lucha. Chicanismo es poder. Chicanismo es amor. Chicanismo es acción. Chicanismo es liberación. Chicanismo es a political state of mind, not a nationality. Con Zafos. Gracias, Luis. And if you want to know more about me, you can follow me on Instagram at Xico González. I also have a radio show online. It's called Radio Chicanismo. So you can follow that at Radio Chicanismo. I produce a lot of musical episodes. Genre mixing through a series that I have called Molcajete. And in that I play different genres at the same time. And then I have a series called Rolas. And I play norteñas, banda, cumbia, quebradita, you name it, I play it, representing the people. And on the Instagram page at Radio Chicanismo, I share my record collection. I'm a record collector. I collect 45s and LPs, and I put that there. I also teach at the Met Sacramento High School. We're located in 810 B Street. And one of the things that we do there is we send students into the community to have internships, to experience real life. So if you would like a mentee, hit me up and we'll do something. Thank you so much. We can open the session to questions. So if you have any questions, please ask away and I'll do my best to respond.
Thank you very much, Chico. Yeah, you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat, or if you want, you can unmute yourself and ask directly.
One of the questions can be, how can I support your work by providing artwork to the community? Sí, yo sí.
Hello. Um, Thank you so much. This was just super cool and very intimate, which we're very lucky to have this time and space with you. I learned so much about you, and we never really get a chance to talk one-on-one. So this is super, super exciting. My question for you is, and sorry if I don't already know this, but do you have a book out of your work and your poetry?
Yeah. So back in the day, I used to do a lot of self printing. You know, Floricanto style. So yeah, I used to have a revoltoso press, and I probably make. I used to make the chapbooks. They were like really like labor intensive, but it was a lot of labor of love. So I used to silkscreen the covers and then print the pages. Back in the day, we used to print one side first and then flip the whole roll and put it in through the printer again. But yeah, I do have some books, and there's music that from my bands, the Revoltosos and Talifas, out there too. So yeah, I do have some of the poetry available.
Great. And so is there, what link, or would it be through Instagram, your Instagram page?
You can just, yeah, you can email me, you can text me through there, or
okay,
just through our secret page.
that's right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Pocos pero locos, Josie. Nancy.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Estoy aquí en San Diego. So I have a question regarding about, you mentioned that you're a professor, correct?
Yeah, I used to be a professor. Now I'm a high school teacher.
Okay, you're a high school teacher. So that's my question. I have this interview for a position here in one of the high schools up here in San Diego, but your work is really political. There is any conflicts regarding about that and being a teacher, or the districts have the dictators, because in case they ask me a question, because they saw my work, so they already know, but in case they ask me something like that, how do you play that role? How do you, it's difficult because, some districts are really disciplinary. They don't want red flags. So I don't want to be a red flag in the interview.
Yeah, no, just be authentic and real about what you're creating and what your style is. I mean, all the work that I'm producing, although it's political, is historically correct, and it's things that are happening and things that the kids need to know. There's a book that I like to read with my students at the high school. It's called "Lies My Teacher Told Me," and I try to set the record straight a lot. I haven't had any issues. I work at a non-traditional high school, and they welcome my politics there. I bleed mecha. We organized we walked out of the high school. So we do things like that. If you do things with love and from the heart, they cannot stop you. And if they have a problem with it, búscate otro distrito.
Okay, gracias. No, y también tuve esa, ¿cómo se dice? Hoy me hablaron y pues ya tengo la entrevista, but also I got the news that I was accepted to the MFA program at San Diego State.
Congratulations.
So, I know, but again, I believe in education, but I don't believe in sometimes in some systems. So I remember in the interview, like it was, I didn't want to give any red flags to no one. So it just, how do you did it, because you have to play that role, like, I am trying to get in, but at the same time, I don't agree with some of the stuff you're saying to me, but I don't want to like tell them and yell, hey, you're wrong, you tell me lies. So I don't know how to navigate it, and especially asking for money.
You're gonna be a rogue agent. You can go in there and then change things around. So mira, I'm lucky in the sense that I went through like ethnic studies, through Chicano studies, right? My BA and my master's are in Spanish with an emphasis on Latin American history and culture, and then I have a BA in art and an MFA in art. So I come from a movement perspective, and they knew that about me. Actually, I was kind of recruited into working at the high school where I work now, and I don't even remember we we almost went on strike here in Sacramento. We actually went on strike for a day. Like different places were going on strike, and we went here, and I created posters against the superintendent, and I seen him around, and I think he knows who I am and everything. But you know, there's no such thing as being like impartial, I guess. You have a sense of responsibility, and if you don't wanna be really upfront, entra calmadito, después cambia las cosas. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to be like in your face all the time. Get your tenure. Yeah, you need 2 years to get your tenure, and after that, es la más cabrona de todas.
Gracias, la verdad que
Felicidades. Una sugerencia. So once you become a high school teacher, one of the things that happens is, in order for you to move on the pay scale, you submit some of your hours, like higher education hours. I don't know if this was the case, but I went in with an MFA and I started at the bottom, and eventually I had to take 15 units for them to count all my schooling. So what I suggest is métele ahí unos añitos a la escuela de trabajo, y luego at the same time get your MFA or master's. I don't know how time consuming it is, but that way your pay increases instead of you having to wait a bunch of time.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I have a BFA, and then experience with photography, and after that they mentioned that I don't need any qualifications. I was ready for the it's just a CTA, it's a media and arts, but I was surprised too, and I applied for, somebody asked me to apply, but the high school that if I get the position, it's gonna be my high school, so I'm coming back to my same high school.
Nice.
So I don't know, but I thank you for your work, and also I was present when you were panelists in the last
Totally.
over here, and so I knew learn more of you. But thank you, and thank you for the kindness y las palabras que me dijo, y ojalá que un día nos podamos, del sur al norte y del norte al sur.
Tengo unos buenos amigos ahí en San Diego. Está un amigo mío que se llama Jorge González. He goes by DJ Mafondo. He was like the person in charge of the herb garden at Chicano Park. So if you're not familiar with Chicano Park and Centro Cultural de la Raza, that's a good way for you to start your journey, your artistic journey, showing at those spots. So go check them out.
I'm part of the committee of the Centro Cultural de la Raza.
Oh, so you're on your way already. Dale gas.
Yes. Well, again, I'm saying, hopefully, hopefully when there's opportunity, to work, that's one of the things I want to do, like the North coming down and the South going up, because we need to make that alliance between California and then all the United States. But thank you, and thank you for your presentaciones. La lucha sigue.
La lucha sigue. ¿Qué onda, Ruth? ¿Cómo estás? Pues estás ahí, Ruth. Tienes la manita levantada.
Sorry, es que estoy en dos cosas a la misma vez. Nunca puedo estar en una nomás. No, I was just going to say thanks for being such a community artist, and siempre, echándole ganas and putting something good for our community, and including the community in your art. I think that's really important, and making it feel like it's for la raza by la raza, right? We were talking about this the other day, tú y yo, how I used to not think that art was part of a movement porque estaba un poquito like zapada, right? And how when you were doing your art for Standing Rock and some other movements, that it really brought out the message and the impact of art in the movement. But with so much going on right now, how do you pick which movements that you're going to do art to?
He has to call me. Like, una de las cosas más difíciles es aprender a decir no, right? Because people are always trying to, like, get you to do work for them and stuff like that. So I'm picky when it comes to like what I value and what I'm down for, And as you know, like I have a lot of love and support when it comes to NorCal Resist. So ahí me traes en chinga veces, you know. Pero, pero todo es con amor, ¿no? Si no lo quisiera hacer, no lo haría.
Yeah.
So it's all about that. You just have to like follow your heart and be like committed. I'm never gonna create something that I don't wholeheartedly believe in, you know. Just to be like cool or to be like with the fashion, like that's not me, you know. Like I learned a lot from the veteranos of the Royal Chicano Air Force, from Ricardo Favela and Jose Montoya. And I maybe I didn't talk a lot about that, but mentorship is a very important part of this movement to continue the legacy that was handed down to me. You know, I'm not the first person that does this type of work or anything like that, but I'm just continuing that movement. So, si creo en lo que está pasando, de volada, ahí estoy. Y si no, pues that's not for me. Maybe somebody else can do it.
And I also like the way you integrate your poetry and your love for music in the works that you do. I mean, I really love the way you went from like explaining what your posters meant y todo eso, y luego dar un poquito de poesía that connects it back to your work. That was like beautiful. And I wanted to plug in Raza y Rolas.
Yeah.
So, because that's another love for the community that you and I have been working on. Saturday, April 16th, from 1 to 8 at Southside Park. It's free for the community. And it's actually something that you kind of put together, right?
Yeah, so we're having this big, because of the great work that NorCal Resist is doing, over the last year and a half during the pandemic. They were able to distribute about $1 million plus a bunch of like different things like comidas, despensas. Every month they do something. I'm not in chinga, and I like that. So I was like, how can I like contribute to that work? And around that time, I was doing interviews throughout Chicanismo. I had a series called Raza y Rolas, and I was interviewing bands. And all of a sudden, se me prendió el foco, like, let's do like a concert to raise funds for NorCal Resist. And the bands are awesome. If you go to my page at Radio Chicanismo, you will be able to see some of the interviews. So you can go to my YouTube channel, Radio Chicanismo. And we're having Mariposas del Alma. It's 3 sisters from Oakland that sing beautifully, oldies and cumbias en combinación. Then it's Disco Resaca, which is like the main crew that Mariposas belong to. And they're like releasing a lot of really good cumbias through like, they have a project called Los Ahijados de la Changa. It's like a sonidero project. One of the dudes is a Chilango, and he grew up in Tepito, and he's a sonidero. And you hear like Los Ahijados de la Changa. And it's like really cool what they're doing. And also, Quien Sabe, they're like firme. They're from Salinas. And they play like cumbias and reggae and all this. And they have this beautiful vibe. There's also Filthy Drones y La Brigada de la Cumbia. They're playing like really good cumbias. And all of these bands are releasing 45s and LPs on vinyl. So they're keeping la cultura alive. One of the really nice things about disco Mexicanos, in the back, there's always says El Disco es Cultura, and it's true. So we're having them. We're having Valley Wolf from Modesto. And they also play like very like similar music, cumbias and stuff like that. And they're like Nueva Quebradita. And then we're having Sol Peligro from SAC. And they also play like cumbias and like, Latin group or whatever you want to call it. I try to stay away from like the word Latin and Hispanic, but I used it in that case, right? But Chicano group. But it's gonna be great. It's gonna be free. At the beginning, we're gonna charge like $25, and we had like a scale, niños menores de $5, like $5, blah blah. But at the end, we decided to like do it for free. We're gonna have Maya's taco truck out there. We're gonna have 2 clinics, one dealing with HIV, another one with COVID. We're gonna have a bunch of vendors. And Larry Rodriguez and myself are gonna be like DJing. I'm gonna play like cumbias and quebradita, all the paisa jams that we grew up with, quinceañeras and bodas. So it's gonna be really nice. It's gonna be at Southside Park, Saturday, April 16, from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's a tardeada. So it's gonna be awesome. So I hope that you can come and a mover la colita. Do the washing machine like Selena.
Thanks, Chico.
Gracias, Ruth. No, gracias a todos. No sé si alguien tiene otra pregunta, pero este trabajo se tiene que hacer. Si no lo hacemos nosotros, ¿quién? Así que hay que darle gas. Si eres, no se ocupan, licenciaturas, maestrías, no se ocupa nada. Lo único que se ocupa es mucho corazón y amor al prójimo. Suena medio cristiano, ¿no? Pero a la base de todo es carnalismo, es hermandad. And we're this together. Si no nos ayudamos nosotros, nadie nos va a ayudar. So we need to do it ourselves. Whatever you're good at, go out there and do it. Sometimes, NorCal Resist ocupa nomás a gente que agarre cajas, diga, hola, buenas tardes, aquí está su despensa. Anybody que todos podemos poner nuestro granito de arena en el movimiento. Yo siempre digo, nosotros podemos poner nuestro granito de azúcar a endulzarnos esta amarga vida abajo del opresor gabacho. Pero hay que darle gas y hay que darle con mucho corazón a todo. Sin más, muchas gracias a todas y todos y todex por venir esta noche aquí con Xico González y Soul Collective.
Thank you very much, Chico. Thank you everyone that joined us tonight. And there is still one more artist talk of this series happening on Thursday. If you have a chance, join us. Later, make plans to go to the concert over there at Southside Park. And thank you very much. Have a nice...
One last announcement, Luis. So my show is going on in Stockton right now. Nopal, Stockton is having an encuentro. It's going to be like a pachanga, kind of like ours, with two of the bands that we're having. And theirs is Friday, March 18th from 6 to 8. They're in Stockton. If you follow Nopal Stockton, you will find all the details on where the venue is. Really quick, I'm going to go there, Nopal Stockton, and I'm going to tell you that the encuentro is going to be at the Sycamore, 630 E Weber Avenue, March 18 at 6. Mariposas del Alma are going to be performing. Quien sabe? Xico González de Radio Chicanismo. I'm going to be there playing some rolas. Tafari Lee doing some spoken word and more. So it'll be like a really nice night to do a 45-minute drive to kick it with the people there. If you haven't met Nopal, you can check my my YouTube channel. I interviewed them, and I also interviewed Ruth and her homegirl, Autumn Gonzalez from NorCal, so you can get to know more of what they do. Eventually, Yossi, I want to interview you and the Brown Berets of Califaslan, or what, I forget, the Sacramento unit of the Brown Berets, the National Brown Berets. There you go. So, muchas gracias. Que pasen buenas noches.
Gracias. Buenas noches.